Testing. Check. Can you hear me back there? It sounds like this mic is not yet on. I think I actually have to press the button. Touching your face. Ani. I'm trying that one on for size. I don't say Ani a lot. Yeah, right. Saguli, that's more my speed. Saguli Swagwig. Welcome to the Poetry Cafe. It is an absolute delight to have you here. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Poetry Cafe, but before I do that, I want to invite Tyrell King to come on up and have a seat. If everyone could make Tyrell feel welcome, thank you. And Dehaganare Henhak. There's no R's in Oneida, so I'm gonna butcher that Gunyangehaga today. So I am not January Rogers. I thought maybe I could come up with cool hair, but you can't put hair in the same category as January Rogers. So she's a special individual that has curated an absolutely wonderful panel for us tonight. I hope you love spoken word. I've had an opportunity to speak to both of these amazing emerging artists in advance. One emerging and one a little more seasoned than the other, and we're in for a real treat. So I want to talk first though about the theme that January had for curating today's show. So we are remembering and reminding. In the 2022 Celebration of Nations Empathic Poetry Café, we're honored to present an all-male identifying group of poets, spoken word artists, and storytellers. The theme, remembering and reminding, is a broad one, which references the multifaceted and overlapping creative expressions which have a very important job to do. Perpetuate Indigenous culture. With this lineup of creatives, we will bear witness to the perpetuation of Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe Nation cultures, specifically very fitting for our One Dish shared territories here that we'll see these opportunities to hear from these great artists. In a celebration of male voices, the 2022 Empathic Poetry Café will host a circle encompassing tradition, innovation, and living creative practices to form a well-rounded reflection of our nation's cultural obligations and passions. Through our collective Indigenous histories, we remember, and with our commitment to growing our artistic expressions, we are remembering and reminding our action words embodied by these two amazing presenters. Again, please help me welcome them one more time to this. Before I give them the floor, I want to ask them each a question before their presentation. Before I ask them the question, I am going to talk about the curator of this presentation a little bit right now. January Rogers is, who is familiar with January Rogers in the room? A handful of us? Okay, has anybody been to a poetry cafe? Just maybe give me a light applause if you've been to a poetry cafe before. Maybe give me a round of applause if you like spoken word. All right, good. You're in good company then. Absolutely. So January Rogers, I do encourage you to check out some of the amazing work that January Rogers does. Her poetry books grace the shelves of my personal library, and they're in a very prominent position reflective of her work. January Rogers is a Mohawk Tuscarora poet, media producer, performance artist. She lives on her home territory in Six Nations of the Grand River, where she operates her own publishing company, Ojistoh Publishing. She self-published her last book, Ego of a Nation. January combines her literary talents with her passion for media making to produce audio and video poetry. The last time I was in person with January was actually at the Niagara Artist Center, where she was working with the Bowadin Collective to help produce some wonderful videos, hilarious at times, poignant at times, politically biting at other times. And if you know January, you know that she can move from all of those different emotions just seamlessly and bring us along for that journey with her. She truly has a gift. Her video poem, Ego of a Nation won Best Music Video at the American Indian International Film Festival 2020. And her audio work, The Battle Within, won Best Experimental Audio with Imaginative Film and Media Festival 2021. She is not able to be here with us because she just started as the writer in residence at Western University, inspiring young minds and hearts. Yes, this is good. This is what we want. We want to see our people doing well. So it's important. It's important that people hear from January. She's unabashed. So you don't need to hear too much about me, but Dikakedos ni Yangats, Wagaskaliwaga ni Wagatalota, Anyata Aga ni Wagahanjota, Hawatadat ni Wakana Heladu, Kainkawa ni Slare, Chiwinisli Ogali, Wagatsununi G Wagachare. That's Oneida, for my name is Carl. So yeah, see, the Mohawk and Oneida, it's real close. So I want to get out of the way of these wonderful artists, and so I spoke to them about their biographies in advance. And what I'm going to ask them first is I want to ask each of you, before we get into your presentations, the first time you met January Rogers, and or something you could share about her impact on spoken word in general. And I think because I spoke to you first, Tyrell, I'm gonna ask you first.
Okay, it works. Cool. Ani minonakshik kanaguya. Hello, good evening, everybody. Hayandagwas and Dejnakas, Makwa Dodam, Michisagi Kamisanege and Donjaba, Michisagi Ganishnabe Minowa, Nadwe and Dao. My name is Hayandagwas, which means gathering wood in the Cayuga language. My Govey name is Tyrell King. I'm Bear Clan from Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. I'm Mississauga Anishinaabe and also Haudenosaunee from the Cayuga, Mohawk, and Onondaga nations as well. What was your question again? Yes, January.
You're doing so good. Honestly, just keep talking. You're doing great.
Well, I was actually at the debut viewing of her web series, Indians on the Airwaves. If you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube, all 10 episodes of the first season. It's pretty damn hilarious, so I highly recommend it. I didn't actually formally meet her there, but later on that year, which was this year, sorry, forgive me, I actually posted my first spoken word poem on Facebook. I posted it on Canada Day, and it was titled, "Oh Canada," and what the theme of my piece is how Indigenous people have been and how they are treated by Canada, and it's not all glamorous and Tim Hortons and free healthcare. Like the original people here, we don't really have all these luxuries. But so she viewed it, and then the next day she messaged me and said, "Sego, hi, good day. I loved your video. Would you be interested in attending a poetry cafe in September?" And right away I said, "Holy shit, yes." I fell in love with spoken word poetry when I was about 13, 14 years old, and since then I knew I wanted to attend an event like this and perform. So, and if you can't tell by the way my hands are shaking, I am really nervous but nonetheless excited to be here. So, miigwech nyawa for having me. Now I'll pass the mic because I know I'm taking forever. Oh, wait, never mind.
I couldn't quite remember when you asked me earlier.
Do you mind introducing yourself to the audience?
Hatskwe sego sewegwego watkunu horado. Deha gana ni waksonoda danu kanyakahaga ni waguhunjoda. Danu swega ni de wageno. Yeah, my name is Deha Ganale. I'm from Six Nations. I'm Haudenosaunee, Kanyakahaga, and I'm Wolf Clan.
And we're talking a little bit about January Rogers. Do you remember the first time you met her?
When we spoke earlier, I like I mentioned, she was just all over, like she's just one of those people that are involved, and you kind of see those people at events all the time. And but I know that she did invite Six Bronx Zoo to. It was years ago when Tribe Called Red was performing at the powwow. So I got to meet her then through that event at the powwow. Scandal. But yeah, I've seen her all over, Janet. You know, and same story, right? She somewhere I think I was sharing a story, and she just invited me out to some events, and then like here I am.
Thank you very much for coming here. Thank you. Fashionably late, we're joined by Chief Stacy Laforme. So yeah, thank you very much. I'm gonna ask you real quick, Tyrell. You had a bit of a nickname for Chief Stacy. Do you mind sharing that story with us?
Allow me to introduce everyone, the Mississauga Johnny Bravo. Look how handsome and chiseled he is.
I heard that one, and I think I heard you say you look like Johnny Cash the first time too that you met him. So I can see it. I can see it a little bit. Do you mind? We were actually just introducing ourselves. So Chief Stacy, do you mind introducing yourself? Sure. Oh.
Hello, I'm Johnny Cash. No, just so, Ani Baju, it's Guy Mistesa Forum, Mississauga's the credit. Been doing this politics thing far too long. Started poetry in grade 8 because the teacher said, "Okay, we're going to write a poem." And like every other boy in the classroom, I said, "Oh, jeez, I don't want to write no poetry." So I sat down, I wrote a poem, and I finished it, and I was like, "Holy crap, that's good." I patted myself, well, I had longer arms back then. I patted myself on the back, and I said, "That's good." And then she took it, and she read it to the class, and she said, "Isn't that beautiful?" But she didn't tell me is that she changed a couple words and the line, you know, just correcting the grammar or something. But because of that, I never wrote another poem till I was 29. So sometimes when we think we're doing good things, we're actually doing the opposite. Communication.
It's an important lesson. Important lesson that's in there. So the other question I was asking everybody is, January Rogers picked the four of us to be in the same room together, yet isn't here herself. So you can say anything you want about January Rogers, positive, negative, or in between. But could you share a story about January?
I don't really know January other than we met in the grocery store. She said, "I'm January Rogers." I said, "Hi, I'm Chief Laforme. Are you going to be at the event?" And I said, "Yeah." And it's okay, so.
All right, that sounds good. It's honest, right? That's one of the themes is innovation, so that's never happened before. I'm going to ask each of you to come forward, and Tyrell, I think that you courageously agreed to be the first person to come forward and to share your story with us. So Tyrell King is joining us from you're both Mississaugas of the Credit and Cayuga. Haudenosaunee from the Cayuga and Mohawk nations. 22 years young, Tyrell King. Please come on up. Let's share some spoken word.
One second. I swear this almost never happens. Am I doing this right?
Are we supposed to cry to Ethan from the heavens? I think it's this one.
Oh, no, I feel silly. My bad.
Do you want it to be longer?
That's what she said, yes.
I don't actually have a
Okay, so. Yeah, I think this can work. All right. Or if you want to stand here and hold it while I do the whole thing, that's good too.
I will.
Yeah.
All right.
Actually, I was kidding. I don't want you to. It's the first day we met. God. Can we have a coffee first, please? You seem like a nice guy, but I have standards, believe it or not. Hey, again, it's me. So, before this started, we were told that Guima Stacy wasn't going to be joining us and that we were going to have more of the spotlight, as we should. But, you know, things happen and they work out. So welcome again, Guima Stacy. I believe Carl did the land acknowledgement, but I would like to take the time to acknowledge that we are on the original territory of the Mississaugas, the Haudenosaunee, and the Huron-Wendat. So if you're Indigenous, welcome home. If not, land back. So when I was invited to come perform here, I only had about 2 poems in the tank, and I liked them, but I was like, nope, I gotta hit them with something new, something good. So I went to the lab right away and created a couple good pieces, and I did something different this time than what I normally do. So we're all going to see how this plays out tonight. I'm hoping it's nothing less than good. If not, you guys can throw stuff at me when it gets bad. And as a performing artist, I am going to take the time to issue a content and trigger warning for the piece you are about to hear. The theme is about residential schools and the impacting trauma that it has had on Indigenous people for hundreds of years. So it includes sensitive subjects such as sexual abuse, alcoholism, addiction, racism, violence. And I do recognize that there are younger ones in the audience, and I will be using profanity, I'm telling you right now, so deal with it. I'm sorry, I don't know what to say about that one. And yeah, I think this is it. I think I'm ready, so thank you again for allowing me to be here. Happy to be here. Hondong Gario Adequant. Agoy kon onska on the dewa winuni on got ni gonra, de at no way ra don't ne on gwe so. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Amen. I don't really know what this place is, but I've been here for a little while now. I guess it's some kind of school for Indian kids, but we also have to sleep here. The teachers are these white men and women who wear black and white dresses. They say they have to teach us to be like them so that we can live the right way. We can only speak English here. If we speak Ganyong Gayak, if we speak Indian languages, we get hit. We all dress the same too. Even our hair is cut the same way. Most of the other kids I talked to said they had long hair before they came here, but the teachers cut it all off. Even the girls need to have short hair. We all sleep in the same room too. Just the boys though. The girls have their own room. Some nights when we're sleeping, the teachers will come into our room and take boys out. I don't know why, but I heard one of the other kids say it's awful what happens. When we wake up in the morning, we have to make our beds right away, or else we get hit and yelled at. The food here is not good. We are only given porridge and bread, but it usually has worms in it. And we have no choice but to eat it, because if we don't, we starve. This one boy ate the porridge with worms, and he puked on the table. Then the teachers dragged him by his shirt down to the basement. I had to go down to the basement later that day, and I saw that boy crying. He was locked in a small cage. They treated him like a dog just because he got sick. I almost cried when I saw him. In our classroom, the teacher looked at me and said, "Count to 10. Count to 10. Unska, Degani, Asa, Gaeli, Wisk, Yayak, Jad." What did I say about speaking that stupid Indian language? I'm sorry, it's the way my mother, I'm sorry. I miss my mother. She died when I was 4. Before she passed away, she told me that she would always be with me, and that whenever I feel alone or scared, I could pray and I would feel safe. She told me to pray to Sangwain Dis. You only pray to Jesus. Sorry, Mom. I only pray to Jesus now. I've been here for a while now. This place is called a residential school. Apparently, there's all kinds of these places all over Canada and the US. We call this one the mush hole. The teachers are called priests and nuns. They say they have to teach us to be like them, to live the right way, or as we call it, the white way. I don't speak Indian anymore. None of us really do. We were hit too many times if we did, and now we only speak English. Food here is still disgusting. We're still eating porridge with worms. But sometimes on Sundays we get a slice of bologna, so it's better than nothing, I guess. This place is even worse than I thought. The priests and nuns don't just take kids down to the basement and lock them in cages. Sometimes they take kids down to the basement and make them fight each other until one of them is dead. And they watch. When we're sleeping, sometimes the priests come into our room and take boys out of the room. Now I know why. It's awful what happens to them. I hate it here. I just want to go home. We all want to go home. I'm finally out of that fucking shithole. I'm still not free. None of us really are. It's so hard to find work anywhere, especially off reserve where we're hated for the fucking color of our skin. No savages allowed in this store. Your priests and nuns raped and murdered children. And we're savages. Even on our reserve, the place that is called our home, there's nothing for us here. Everyone is either trying to kill the memories of those schools by drinking or killing themselves so they don't have to remember a fucking thing. Every morning, they would make us pray to their God. And every day, they abused and dehumanized us in the name of their God. What kind of God do they worship? How is this the right way to live? We were children. Many of us went overseas to fight wars that weren't even ours. We risked our lives. Some of us died fighting for a country who hates us and wants us dead. And when we came home after the war was over, we were still hated. My mom told me to pray to the Creator whenever I was alone and scared. We were all alone and scared in that mush hole. And where was the Creator? Where was the Creator to protect those kids who are buried in the backyard of the same place where we went to school? Stop it. Behave. Smarten up, I said. Listen to me. I'm sorry if I ever hurt any of you. I never learned how to be a parent where I was. But I do love all my children and my grandchildren. And I just hope none of them have to go through what I did. It's time to go home now. My dad was a good dad. He was a good man. He just lived a rough life. He never deserved to go through any of that shit that he did. Those kids did. It breaks my heart just thinking about it. They were just children. The racism is still bad. My siblings and I are harassed every time we go to school or leave the reserve because we're Native. Even on our reserve, so many people have died from suicide and alcohol poisoning. And this is our home. I just hope my son never has to go through any of this. Man, I still can't believe my grandpa was taken to the mush hole. He said it was horrible, the things that happened there. I still can't believe places like that even existed. That they hate us so much that they tried to kill us all as children. The racism is still bad. My mom went through a lot of it. The res life is still bad. I don't even want to go to school half the time because what the fuck's the point? They say I shouldn't drink so much. But what the fuck else is there to do around here? It's all my parents did. It's all my grandparents did. What the fuck else are we supposed to do? I just hope my son never has to go through any of this. miss my great-grandpa. My heart hurts just thinking about the kind of life he had to live. He was an orphan, a residential school survivor, and a war veteran, all before the age of 30. And I didn't even go to his funeral. The Government of Canada sincerely apologizes and asks the forgiveness of the Aboriginal peoples of this country for failing them so profoundly. We are sorry. Sorry. 2:15. 104. 161. 182. 751. They were children. No apology brings back those children who are buried in unmarked graves. They could never know this res life that we live. They could never know what it feels like to grow up without knowing the fucking difference between a funeral and a family reunion. They could never know what it feels like to use alcohol, drugs, sex, to attempt to drown the trauma and grief that has been passed down through every generation of your family for hundreds of years. How are we supposed to get over it if it is not over? When does it end? It ends here. I am not loosening the noose around my neck that hangs from the hands of the Canadian government. I am cutting the rope and burning it. No longer will I try to whitewash my brown skin, hoping that I will be accepted in the eyes of this whitewashed society. I am going to be who I am, not who or what the government or their statistics want me to be. I am ending intergenerational trauma because I hope my kids never have to go through any of this. I do not want my kids to suffer from depression, anxiety, alcoholism, addiction, the same way I did, the same way my dad did, the same way my grandparents did, the same way that any of us who have ever been a victim of intergenerational trauma did. Intergenerational trauma ends here, and breaking the cycle starts like this. Ninwe endaume bonojiek anishna bek win wakai win gishketosi na win saad. We are the children of the Indians they could not kill. Nin endau gachen no shen eu Donald Lee Jacobs Bradley gashab with nadwe nagnake king gabeshing akano magegamik. I am the great-grandson of Donald Lee Jacobs Bradley, survivor of the Mohawk Institute Residential School. Win wa ga gijiton na win a awing. They tried to kill who we are. Dash kinwe endame ayabe manpi. But we are still here. Kinwe ki ayame manpi dash. We were here then. Kinwe gada manpi megwa. We are here now. Minawa kinwe gada ayame manpi megwa pane. And we will be here always. Kinwe abadekwi jabwitona e awing. We have to save who we are. Kinwe abadek gagigadome gada newewana. We have to speak our languages. Kinwe abadek Kinwe abadek nagame gada nagamowana. We have to sing our songs. Gishpin kaiwin dash bowamgun. If we don't, then they are dead. Kinwe abadek Kui mamanandana minawanana jayayan and sabanojin. We have to remember and honor every child. Sam and sabanojin pieten dagosit. Because every child matters. Way-yo, hey-yo, way-ya, way-ya. Way-yo, hey-yo, way-ya, way-ya. Way-yo, way-ya, way-ya. Way-yo, way-ya, way-yo. Hey-ya, hey-yo. Get you now when I'm one. Get te abijit chiganan. Hey-ya, hey-yo. Get you ashinga. Majaman gakchimengwej. Hey-yo, hey-yo, hey-yo. Hey-ya, hey-yo. Miigwech, now.
Can anybody believe that was Tyrell's first public performance? Again, can we give him a thank you? This is amazing. I can't wait for the next performance and the performance after that and the performance after that. I think we'd be so lucky. Keep doing what you're doing. This is absolutely amazing. Remembering and reminding. That's our theme for tonight, and I think it's just so fitting for what we just witnessed. Dehaganere. That's quite the act to follow. Right?
Get this man some water.
All right. It's go time. Yeah. Yeah. Come on up.
Does it curve down a bit?
Yeah, it does.
I kind of want to sit down for a second.
Sure.
Sweet. Does that work? All right. Wow. Right? Feel that? Thank you for sharing that, Tyrell. I hope that you keep going. I'm serious. That's needed. Wow. I got a little something to share. I got a little piece. I'm going to share some stories too. I just need a second. That was a lot. So I used to write a lot more poetry when I was out. I used to live out here for 7 years. I went to university here and worked out here for a few years. I come from Six Nations. I grew up there. So I have this little, I just want to share a little, this is a small piece, and then I just want to share maybe a story or two. So this piece comes from when I was around your age, actually, because you're 22, right? So around that age, maybe around like 2019, 2021 is when I really start learning what happened. Why am I speaking a foreign language? That's what I was going through in my head, and trying to deal with that. And start reading books, documentaries, talking to people about colonization, assimilation, and genocide, and just getting the full, trying to get the full picture of what happened. I remember I didn't even know about like other indigenous people like down south and like Central America, and just so I learned a lot, and it really pushed me to where I am today. It pushed me to learn my language. So this is just a little piece that I wrote a long time ago that I'm going to share, and then I'll share a story. Every reservation's in the same situation. So we spread information, hustle education, give an indication to the truth, all the devastation. It's a real situation. Check my observation. Relocation of a population to a reservation. Genocide through the system. Extermination of a nation. Up north isolation. Limitations. Limitations on the nations through oppressive regulations. Manipulation. Manipulation of a nation in racist legislations. Corrupt corporations with no consideration. No consideration for the earth's preservation. A racist systematic education making false illustrations of the nations. It's contamination. It's contamination to the young imaginations. We're connected through our spirits. There's no separation. Overcome assimilation, 7th generation. 7th generation, overcome assimilation. No more hibernation, I can see the people waking. The people doing demonstrations and occupations. Spreading inspiration. Keeping concentration on the elevation of the nations. The motivation, the dedication to the activation of a nation. Let's fix the situation. No more hesitation. Participation of the people for the liberation. Just a little bit of alliteration for you. Yeah, so that's an old piece. Thank you for letting me share that. I want to share this story. I've shared this story a lot, and I think it's really important, especially hearing what Tyrell just shared. I really want to share this story now. So I didn't grow up speaking Ganyat Geha. We all know why. But at the age of, I don't know, 20-something, 25, 26, I don't know, I took it really, really serious. I quit my job, and I went to the immersion program in Six Nations. We're really fortunate to have that program. It's called Ungawana Gunjokwa. It means our language group, our language society. It's an adult Mohawk immersion class, our school, sorry. And you can go there. If you don't speak, you don't have to know anything. And if you have if you're dedicated, you can come out advanced fluent speaker, which that's what I was able to do. So I didn't grow up with my family, right? My grandfather was in those places, and we lost the language that way. But yeah, so I really just dedicated myself to do that. I was actually able to spend 3 years in adult immersion school. So it's Monday to Friday, 9 o'clock to 3 p.m., no English. If we spoke English, you just had to leave the room for about 5 minutes. It was kind of, I don't think I ever had to do that, but I saw a couple of my friends have to leave. But nobody got like yelled at. It was just, we had to be serious about it, right? We couldn't, there's English everywhere else. This is Ganyat Geha. This is where we speak Kanui Jinue, Ganue, Dewadadis, Naganya Geha. That was where we spoke Ganya Geha only. So along that journey, I was able to learn a lot of stories. Some would say traditional stories, stories that that we've been carrying for some time, passed down from elders that we're fortunate to still have today. And this story, it's about this little rabbit. And I want to ask you what's this mean? Okay, if we could do that, maybe not, but we could talk about it. So, jinaho da yaga gigan da yawa wahuni ze gaha. Wahuni ze gaha. So they say this happened a long time ago. So the creator, what he wanted was to have this big meeting with all the animals. And so all the bears start to gather up, and all the turtles and the deer. And so all these animals started to gather up in this big forest. And but the creator didn't tell them why they were supposed to meet. This meeting was called, and they were gathering, and all the birds were there, all the dogs too, raccoons. So all these animals are gathering up in this forest, and they don't know why they're supposed to meet. And say what nizara ndohatste. 1 day pass. De what nizara ge ndohatste. So 2 days pass. Asa ni nizara ge ndohatste. 3 days pass. So the animals are gathering up, and they don't know why they're supposed to meet. And I can imagine maybe some of them are getting kind of impatient, maybe. And maybe this is the case with this Tuscarora, with this mother bear. She so she thought really hard, and she was wondering why they were supposed to meet, and then she thought, Hatskwe, Wagadayandare. So she's like, oh, I know, right? I know why we're supposed to meet. So she goes to tell all the animals. She wants to tell them, I know why we're supposed to meet. She figured it out. But just as she was about to tell them why they were supposed to meet, they could hear some like stomping, and like someone singing yo yo hey, yo yo hey, yo yo hey, yo yo hey. So they go and they find what this is, and they found this little rabbit. So this little rabbit's like stomping and singing and yo yo hey, just having a great time. And so they're like, wait a minute, the creator wants to have this meeting, right? We're all supposed to be there. They're telling that little rabbit, and that rabbit's just like still stomping away. And they tell the rabbit, well, your cousins are there, right? The other rabbits are there. Your family's there. Everyone else is there. All the deers are there. And but remember the meeting. The creator wanted this meeting with the animals, right? So what happened was they were mean to the rabbit because the rabbit didn't want to go to that meeting. The rabbit just wanted to stomp dance and sing. So they were being mean to the rabbit, and they hurt his feelings. And then so so the rabbit just took off. So then the animals had some time to meet again. And another day goes by, and 2 days go by, and there was this, it was an eagle, a dunyan goa. There was this eagle, and she was up on this tree, and she was like, she's like, I know, right? She figured it out, because they don't know why they're supposed to meet. They're still waiting. So she flies down, and she goes to tell all the animals, and just about when she's about to tell them, she could hear that stomping again, and yo yo hey, yo yo hey, yo yo hey, and they find that rabbit again, And the rabbit, they're like telling the rabbit, you're supposed to be meeting with the other animals, and they're being mean to the rabbit, and the rabbit's just telling them, we're going west, kuni. No na daganunya kwe. The rabbit's like, I really enjoy dancing, right? And the rabbit said, wagala zeza unkani. The rabbit said, I'm really proud of who I am. Tanu, we're getting to go Ojistoh no na gadana nota. The rabbit said, oh, it makes my mind feel good when I sing my original songs, our songs. But the meeting did have to happen, right? It did. It was a must. So they just got frustrated with that rabbit. And the rabbit, sahadego, he took off again. And so the animals are gathering again, and there was this atnowara. Who knows what atnowara is? It's a wise turtle. So this turtle, she knew for sure why they were supposed to meet. The turtles are wise, right? This turtle was like 150 years old. So she goes to tell them, and what happens? They can hear that rabbit stomping and singing away. And this has been a long time, right? The animals are getting tired. They want to know why they're supposed to meet. And the rabbit's just not really participating with it. And this keeps happening over and over. The rabbit's singing and dancing and stomping, and they go try to meet. And then the rabbit sings. They try to meet. It just keeps going on until so finally something different happened. So they finally they find that rabbit again, singing and dancing, and he's saying, like, always telling them, like, I'm proud. We're getting to go Ojistoh no na gadara nota. It makes me feel good when I sing. Our original songs. But so that time there was the baby bears, and the baby bears, they go to that little rabbit, and so they start talking to the rabbit and asking them the same questions, right? Oh, like, why do you keep doing this? The creator wants us to meet. All the other rabbits are there. Your cousins are there. What's going on here? But again, that rabbit's just like smiling and telling them, right? I'm proud of myself. I love my dances. I love to sing. And so while the rabbit was telling that to the baby cubs, to the baby bears, the rabbit was kind of stomp dancing and smiling, right? So they're just like little babies. What do you think they're going to do? They join in with the rabbit, right? So then all these baby bears, all of them, all the baby bears, they're dancing with that one rabbit and singing. So their parents, they naturally, go to their babies and try to, they want to try to get them. But in the midst of doing that, they were having fun. So then, like, all the bears were dancing with that rabbit and singing. And so the deer, Oskanunda, they're just looking over like this, right? And same thing, right? The baby deers, like they go over, they join in, and so then all the deers were dancing. And then the turtles, even the eagles, the hawks, the robins, raccoons, every single animal in that forest was singing and dancing together. Tukni Gagaris. And that's the end of the story. So I have one question for the audience. Why were the animals supposed to meet? Yeah, absolutely. See, that poor little rabbit didn't know that carried that responsibility, and the animals didn't know that either, right? But eventually, without them knowing, they figured it out, right? So that story is connected to, it talks about what happened to Ungahoy people. It speaks to residential schooling, right? We weren't allowed, well, we already know. I don't got to say this. I don't got to say it again, you know? But that rabbit carried that responsibility to remind us that we can be proud of ourselves, that we should be proud of ourselves. We should be proud of our languages, our dances, our songs, and that we're resilient. You know, just echoing what Tyrell was saying, you know, that, you know, we're still here. We're not going anywhere. And we're writing a new story, right? The story that you began with, Tyrell, is a story that needs to be heard. But 10 years, 20 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, 150 years from now, they're going to talk about what happened after residential schooling. They're going to talk about language revitalization, land back, everything that we're going to take back and revitalize. That's the responsibility that rabbit carried. So, you know.
Again, remembering and reminding those responsibilities, and what a powerful story with that rabbit. I've had the opportunity of actually hearing Chief Stacy speak and share poetry before, and it sometimes can be so difficult to talk about the things that we need to talk about and to deal with the things that we have to deal with. And I imagine that the responsibilities as a leader that Chief Stacy carry are heavy, and he you know, he's in rooms and meetings that we can't know about how hard some of the things are that he has to deal with. But having that outlet of art and beauty and the power of emotion is something that is just a gift that he has. And so I want to say Nyawakoa for sharing that gift in the past, and Nyawakoa for being here tonight. And without further ado, please welcome Chief Stacy.
Oh, yeah, that's good. I was just going to put my book under the stand and take my shoes off if I couldn't get it to the right height. That was good. I enjoyed both those versions for the gentleman who went before me. I enjoyed that, and was thinking, geez, I probably should go sit in the audience so they can do some more, have more time. But before I begin, I'd like to tell you a little story, and I always start with my shirt, and people get sick of this story, but the moral behind it is why I tell it. So, as you can tell, I like to wear ribbon shirts, and I wear them a lot, and some get pretty fancy. And I had I don't know why, but I had a blue silk ribbon shirt on that had Mississauga across the back, and I was in Toronto, and a man came up to me, he goes, "That's a nice shirt." I said, "Thanks." He went on to say, it takes a special kind of man to wear a shirt like that. So I chuckled and said thank you. But it reminded me that when I was young, I'd have been too afraid to dress like this, too afraid of what others would say. But the truth is, we should never have to change to fit into society. The world around us should adapt to embrace our uniqueness. And I think that's a fundamental principle of life. And I like to always share that. I tried to just share the thing at the end, but it's kind of hard to do without the story. So, and another thing I wanted to say is, when I start writing for the second time, I wrote a lot, and I had to do my first event at a university, and there was tons of people there. I was very surprised. And it said poetry reading, Stacy Laforme, 2:00. And so all these people, students and teachers and others gathered there, and I came walking out there, and they're looking at me like, "What? Is she behind him? What's going on?" Because back then, men did not write poetry, and so they thought I was going to be a young lady come out to spoke, and instead it was me. And at the time, I was heavily into weightlifting, so I was actually much better looking than I am now. But I wanted to say, there's a couple of stories I want to tell you. So I'll start off by saying that if you want to, I did a poem about 2:15, the evening of the discoveries of the children, and I was blessed and lucky enough to share it on TV with the with one of the local stations. I can't remember now, and they did it live, so they had to show the whole thing, right? They couldn't like cut it off in the middle. So I did that poem, and a friend of mine, Kevin Hearns and Josh Finlinson, Kevin's from the Bare Naked Ladies, and Josh is from Sky Diggers in Toronto, who are both members of Gord Downey's last tribute band to the... Anyway, Kevin called me up and said, "Can I put music to that poem?" And I said, "Sure." And then Gord Downey's brother said, "Well, it needs a video." And so they put music and a video to me speaking it. And if you want to see it, you have to go to YouTube and look for it, because it's called 2:15 Reconciliation. And it speaks to all the things that you would imagine, because I wrote it when I was angry, I was hurt, I was sad. So many emotions came through. Wrong one. But people always ask me about reconciliation and allyship and things of that nature. And so I didn't have to. People asked me to come speak for Canada Day, and I said no. That year I'm not going to do it. But I wrote a poem, and I sent it to them. And I called it What If Canada Day? And I wrote it from the perspective of Canadians, at least my interpretation, because that's what I do. I become a character at a different stage of life or a different thing they're doing, and I speak from there. So this is called What If Canada Day. This year, you will not see any parades. You'll see no fireworks light up the sky. This July 1st will be quiet and thoughtful as we gather with family and friend, as we consider the legacy and the future of this country. The truth is before us. There are no more excuses to be made or accepted. An awful, unimaginable truth has been confirmed. This land is built on the bones of the Indigenous people and the tears of their children. They wept for stolen children as we hugged and loved ours. They grieved as their future died at a desk, in a bed, at the hand of a stranger. We sent ours to school, to chores, kissed them goodnight as we tucked them into bed. So there can be no Canada Day this year. There can be no celebration. We will not have our Indigenous brothers and sisters mourn as we sing, dance, and make merry. This is a moment in the life of this country that will determine our future. We need to be united in this moment to express our love and, equally important, our support. For this is not just the Indigenous history. It is our history. These are not just the Indigenous children. They are all our children, the children of this land. And we cannot celebrate until we have justice for our children. We have answers for our people, and we have accountability for our future. We are with you today and always. What if? I was, you know, that's a dream. That's an idea. I mean, but it doesn't mean that you can't do something that remembers that, right? I mean, that time. And I tell people, yes, it's important to support residential schools and those who've lived through them and the children, but it's as important to do something in your own community, in your own world, that remembers this moment. It can be as simple as planting flowers or something that shows a respect, something that ties to our mother, the earth. I said, you know, there was one witness to all of that, and that was our mother, the earth. And she did what she could do. She sheltered them and cared for them until we can take them home. So it's important that we do what we can do and involve our mother, the earth, in that. So I've got tons of poems. I mean, I've written forever. But I want to just do one more. And this one's, okay, that one keeps coming up over and over. I might have to do that one. Okay, that's 3 times. I'll do that one. So I want to read you a poem called On Common Ground. No one thing can define us, for we are complex creatures dreamed in the mind of the Creator. We laugh when we should cry. We cry when we should laugh. We joke when in pain. We smile because tears could consume us. We love unconditionally and totally. We understand that family should come first, yet family is not defined solely by blood. We are quick to anger, yet no one forgives faster. We are loyal and we are strong. When we commit, we are unwavering. We have survived much, but do not mistake adaptation for resignation. You will always see us, for we will always be here, standing for what we believe in, standing beside each other, doing what is right for our children, our future. We remember our obligation to our Mother the Earth, and we remember our place upon her. We are proud people, an honorable people. We do not always do right, for we are human and prone to the follies of humanity. Yet we strive to be better, to make each other better, to make the world a better place for the children. I know the Creator smiles upon us no matter where we are or what we do, for the love of a child is unconditional. No matter where life takes you, walk proud. See, I'm sure everyone hears a little something of himself in that poem, and that teaches us that no matter how far apart we may seem, we're never so far that we can't find common ground. And I think that's important as we go into the future. Miigwech, thank you.
Remembering and reminding, again, our theme for tonight. I just want to, one more time, I want to thank Tyrell King for his contributions. Thank you, Tyrell. Dehaganare for his contributions. Thank you. And last but not least, Chief Stacy Laforne for his contributions. Now, and give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you. You've been a great audience. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute honor having you tonight. So
Say next year we need those guys for 2 hours.
right? Yeah. All right, Nyawakoa. Thank you.